Hey, it's former NHLer and Missing Curfew co-host Scottie Upshall, and you guys are listening to Her Table with Kate and Megan.
Now you see her.
You are magnificent!
Welcome to Her Table, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the badass women who are redefining the game. Join hosts Kate Foley and Megan Martinez as they unlock the secrets of success from the brightest female pioneers in the industry. Whether you're a young woman aspiring to break into the sports industry or a seasoned professional looking for fresh inspiration, come on and grab a seat at Her Table, where women's voices are amplified, dreams are realized, and the game is changed.
You must always have faith in yourself.
Seek out strong women to befriend, to learn from, to be inspired by.
Women need a seat at the table, and in some cases, they need to create their own table.
What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Her Table. It's kind of groundbreaking today, Meg.
And why is it groundbreaking?
We have our first male guest on Her Table. Hall Pass Media collab, family in the house, and Scottie Upshall.
Yes, so excited to have him on. He co-hosts Missing Curfew with his boy Obi, and he spent 15 seasons in the NHL.
He was the number 6 pick in the NHL draft. Like, I need to know, does he have his teeth? What's the name of the show about?
Yeah.
What's going on in the NHL? I know there's some women's stuff going on.
Yeah.
They got a new women's league, so I want to see if he's up to speed on that one.
Same. And like, where did he get his nickname Updog? Like, what is that?
Updog. All right, let's get him here at the table. Let's get Updog in here right now. First male guest on Her Table. Let's get into it with him. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Let's get him on. We're like a whole trifecta in here.
I know. NFL.
Yeah.
We just need MLB. We need
I got a couple girls actually you guys should chat with. They do work for CAA hockey.
Okay.
They're good girls,
Yeah. No, love
Dominique and Jen. Actually, Max, Dominique's dad's at Mark Didia, who's manager for Dirty Honey. His daughter played hockey in like Michigan, maybe.
Was she here when the Dirty Honey was here?
What is Dirty Honey? Why do I feel like I need a whole education in life right now?
They're friends.
From
They're
Scottie
they're a band
Updog.
that came in. They played a song right there. They kind of launched their new song California Dreamin' in here, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're friends of mine. The kid Mark LaBelle, he's a good-looking cat. He's their lead singer. Him and John Notto, the guitarist, came and played. They sat in here for an hour, chatted. Mark's a big hockey guy. He plays every week in LA, men's league, and they travel the world and play.
Living their best life.
Yeah, rock stars.
We're just in here annoying Max on the regular.
Yeah, we do it too.
You guys do it too? Okay, good.
Okay.
More than you.
See, he doesn't
Who's
want
more annoying?
No comment.
Yeah.
It's gonna be us. I promise you, it's gonna be us. I promise you. We get the red blinking light.
I know.
You guys get to talk like real life, like time not sensitive shit.
Yeah.
We have to be like aware of like, what goes out we can't talk about real life shit.
Yeah,
because then
like it's evergreen. Versus you guys are probably like real time.
Yeah.
We do both. We do bank a lot of like interviews or shows, and then the stuff like our weekly hit that we know it has to be every Tuesday can be up to date news.
Up to date news, like the flashing ticker at the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, do you just keep going with this? Because this is all like good. I feel like the whole conversation so far.
Yeah, you
I
might
thought
as
you
well
were
just keep it
recording.
rocking.
To be honest, if you weren't,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna be really
he's
fucking
used-
mad.
Max is used to this because I often, when we call in someone, the first like couple minutes is actually some of the best.
No doubt.
Introduction.
Yeah,
No doubt.
And as long as no one says anything that crosses the line, and that we usually I like to say like Max, just let this roll. And hi, by the way, we have John Cooper. We're sitting here talking. I think those are good ways to start podcasts, especially if someone's just tuning in, listening, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, it's just a normal conversation."
Right.
No, that's what we like. We had to dump the table and move to this more living room lifestyle because I felt like we were news anchors a little bit.
Oh, I saw that look. I felt like I was walking into like a nice restaurant.
Yeah, it's a little vibe. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
If only we had music on, it would be like a for real vibe.
Max, whose idea to get them this nice light here?
That was all Kate.
Yeah.
She was insistent. She saw the fella sign and was like,
You see the fella
you have
sign?
to get one.
The fella sign was nice, right?
Yeah.
Anything
was
that's
maybe-
pink
that
and
was my
purple, I'm
idea.
all for. And then I'm like neon zen right now.
I know.
And this is very aesthetic.
I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this, but when these first came out, there was like everyone wanted one in their house. So like, if you had a little area in your house, I'm talking probably 12 years ago. I was living in Philadelphia, and these were like, all of a sudden, like online, there was like a place you could order them. You know, it's probably whatever, but they were expensive at the time. I don't know. We got these cheap now, Max, but these, I wanted one in like my little bar area with a pool table. It said like Up Dogs Tavern or something.
I cannot get over.
You know, I think they're badass. And now look, now it's like a big piece to your set.
No, honestly, it's funny because so Megan and I have this ongoing battle of we're very much the same, but we're very different. Like she's always in tennis shoes, I'm always in heels. And so the joke becomes like some days I'm in tennis shoes and she's in heels. Oftentimes she's not in red, she's in blue, and we're like a gender reveal party. Like literally we'll show up to set and it's like a gender reveal. And it's like,
yeah.
Fuck.
So as you guys, you're a duo in this venture you have. Do you guys talk about outfits? Because it's important for the girls.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like, I know what Obi's coming to wear. He wears, he rocks our merch.
Yeah.
All the time. He looks good with it, like crisp, always has a good tan, never wears a hat. I come in sometimes like in a button up or like a plain tee. We used to have a company, Good Life, sponsor, but like never would I be like, okay, your outfit's going to screw up my outfit. Yeah. So like, but I feel like you guys could maybe really screw that up, contrasting like different.
That's what we were afraid a little bit.
Like it's good today. I think you guys look great today. And I would be a sneaker. I'm more the sneaker guy. Yeah. Not much of a heel guy.
Everybody's on my team usually.
Well, maybe I need to get a better team. Maybe that's where I'm at.
No, all of our guests too will ask like, sneakers or heels or stilettos? Or what do we do?
Stilettos or sneakers?
I think it's like, is it?
I'm down. Yeah. No, we've had like one. We've had like
You're
KJ
a professional.
would pick. KJ would pick heels.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I need to have better guests. Maybe I need to like stack the cards.
Or
like,
better
let's
sneakers.
be real.
Or better sneakers.
No, I have this thing where I feel like if I don't show up to work in heels, people don't take me serious. Swear to God. It's like I'm just like another like kick it girl, whatever. It's not like I'm in charge and the boss. It's like, because I'm a small person. So it's like, but I don't know. My dad laughs. He's like, you're the only NBA agent I ever seen walk in heels. And I'm like, I just can't not. Like,
yeah. But it's gonna screw up the floor, though. You know, like what, like the basketball floor. Do they let you wear heels?
Like, what am I doing? I'm not going center court. They don't need me out there. Yeah. But no, it's just my thing. I can't. I'll wear sneakers every now and again.
Yeah, she wore like pink sneakers in Vegas, and I was like, whoa. It was like,
okay. Yeah, like what's going on? So we need to talk. Like, no, my feet just need a fucking break for a day.
I hear you.
Just needed a break. But no, it's funny. We always joke because I always text her like I'm changing because we film so many shows in here. We'll try and change like every episode so you can't tell.
Yeah,
right? But then Max rushes
Don't give away all your secrets on here.
No, Max rushes us and we get fucked up and then we can't do the intros in the right clothes because we've already changed. So like sometimes it's a little bit of a mess. Yeah. But it's all good.
No, I've been part of that program. I've actually, so I travel a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing where, it's like, is Uppy going to be on time today? I came in right on time.
We heard. No, you weren't. You were like 5 minutes late.
No, I was sitting in.
He was here.
I was sitting in the.
Max said you were late.
No, it said. Listen, it said recording on there, and it was flashing. Max, by the way, it never says recording when we do ours. These people come through that door when we do our podcast all the time. And I'm like,
you just don't give a shit. They're like,
I'm like, whatever. I look back, and usually we try to make people laugh if they come in. So I travel a lot. Well, there's been some times where, an Obi, he doesn't fuck around. Like if I'm missing a show, I'm going to hear it. Max is going to hear it. Well, Max has probably heard more of Obi complaining about me not being on time than anyone. But like I've shown up LAX, like said, fuck my bags, got in the car, came here, showered. There's a shower here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Showered, fresh tea, like blow dry, fucking here we go. And, make it on set. But I've gone to the extent
like a professional.
You just kind of got to step up in sports, and you guys know this, but like, you have to show up. If you're someone that like takes days off or whatever, you're not going to be on the team.
No,
very much.
No, you're going to be out soon.
You'll be up in the stands watching. Yeah. So I always whether I stay out late the night before and I have to get up for something in the morning, I'll be on time for it. I won't be late, but I'll show up.
Is that okay? So you're from Canada, right?
From Canada, born and raised.
What part? What part?
I grew up in a little town in Alberta, like a oil and gas town. No, Lake Louise.
Yeah.
No, I never grew up there. That's beautiful there, though.
Everyone says Alberta, so I think.
Yeah, that's like That's
Is it on this
that's
side or
the
that
prettiest prettiest
Which
place
side
in
of Canada?
Canada.
That side or that
It's
side?
the west.
Out west. Okay.
Now, are a lot of hockey players, like, I feel like in the NHL, a lot of them Canadian? Or is it just...
When I turned pro, like, so say early 2000s, the ratio was probably like maybe 40% like Canadians.
Yeah.
Probably 15% US, and then like 20% Russian. So there was a lot. Now the US hockey program has elevated. Their competition's really good. The kids coming out of the US are some of the best young players in our league. That has a big testament to like the junior programs, a lot of the NHL programs that have like their
the feeders.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, so that was never, when I got, I was drafted in 2002 to Nashville. Nashville had been around for 3 years. We were going to like schools in like different little areas of town, and they had no idea what hockey was. Now, if you implanted in there now and went around to these little towns, you see jerseys, you see, little rinks, you see kids with hockey sticks, and their games are packed. And it's not just visiting teams coming in, which is when we would play the Detroit Red Wings, for example, it would be red. It would be all Wings fans.
Yeah.
Now, you can't buy a ticket if you're a visiting fan. So that's where hockey's grown. And in saying that, now there's probably, 50 American, 50 Canadian, and then the rest Europe.
What's the second most important sport in Canada? I mean, I feel like it's because it's cold. Let's just say.
Women's hockey.
Women's hockey.
Yeah, there's hockey, women's hockey.
And then there's no other
Two very important sports.
They just don't care. It's just hockey.
Then,
Canadian hockey, that's it.
No, baseball, so if we're going to be
basketball, take it up too.
We're going to be evergreen with this whole thing, like the Jays just got in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Big. But the Raptors winning, you're right. The Raptors winning was
and the Canadian national team
pretty
too.
badass. Yeah, they just
really
won the bronze,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing. I don't know. Women's soccer, like our Canada soccer team for women have always been really good. Like the men's aren't that great. And then I know a ton of people growing up that soccer was their, they went to college for soccer. So that's a big sport. We never had football on in my high school growing up. Now we do, but it's not like a big.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
It's like the CFLs.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's kind of fun to go get drunk and.
Yes, Johnny Manziel's over there.
Yeah. There you go.
Living his best life.
Yeah.
Coaching.
No, he played.
Yeah, he played.
He was a quarterback for I think the.
One of the teams. I don't know.
Ottawa, maybe. Yeah, I think it was Ottawa.
And then you moved. Okay, so you live in Cali now. Yeah.
I do.
And what do you
I live
travel
up the
so
street.
much for?
Just
Life in general.
yeah, pleasure.
Just life.
I have two young kids and a
old?
beautiful girl. My kids are 3, Izzy, and 1, Beckham. They just turned their birthdays.
Those are such Canadian names, and I love it.
So?
British names.
Isabel.
Yeah.
Isabel
I like
and
Isabel.
and Beckham.
And
Yeah,
Beckham.
call them Beck.
So cute.
I have 3, and mine are 11 and a half, 9, 6 and a half. So you're gonna
Cool.
get out of little kid
I know.
hell into the middle range hell, and then you're gonna go to the it just keeps going.
Yeah, I know.
It just.
Do you have girls too? or-
I have 1 girl.
I'm prepping for the girl.
2 boys, 1 girl, because
Yeah.
God knew that the world did not need more than 2 of me at any time
I
on
bet.
this earth. So it's
I
us
feel-
2 to the
yeah.
end.
That's great though. I feel blessed that I had both.
Yeah.
And then I would say I'm done, but yeah.
See.
So back to the travel. We have a house in the mountains, so we go there a couple times a year, usually twice in the winter, and try to get 3 weeks in the summer.
Yeah.
So we do that, and then the hockey thing. Obi and I are lucky. We've with the help of Hall Pass Studios, Max and Al.
Shout
here,
out Max.
We
Back.
we created an arm to our business that's a touring show. So it's called the Fella Tour, and we make an effort to go all over the country to Canada. We've been I'd say to date Max 10 trips.
Probably about 10, yeah.
We're looking forward to some more. We got one coming up next weekend. We're going to Detroit and then Toronto. Starting the year off kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when's the season start?
The season starts the first week in October, so shortly.
This week. So, okay. So we're new to this game. They thought we should have a show. I don't know why, but we got one.
Yeah.
And so we're new to this game.
To the podcast
The
world.
podcast world.
So is this a podcast or is it more of a, you like to put on, it's all channels, right? YouTube. Being both, you have to have cameras on you at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, what if this is an important thing? This is why you dress nice.
We do.
Most podcasts.
No, we just look like this on a regular day.
Yeah.
That's it. Just a normal day. If you see us in sweatpants later, you'll know what's up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, so like you guys have taken your podcast into like a whole nother level of fun, right? I have to laugh because when we started this podcast, they were like, okay, we're going to use the boys set. And then I was like, yeah, but like we're kind of girls. So we kind of need to girl it up. And then this came and then it just kept coming. And so I feel like we've just taken over your space a little bit of like, you know, all the stuff you guys had in here. But like,
yeah, that's okay. I didn't move any of it, so don't. Yeah,
He's like, it's not my problem. I don't.
I show up.
But he just keeps showing up. He just keeps showing up. They keep just waiting.
Yeah.
No, I offer a hand, Max. I offer a hand.
But like, you know, we started this. This is more of a place for us. It's been really fulfilling for me to just share stories of other people. To one, like just what they've gone on, what's gone on in their life, what inspires them, you know, what challenges they have. But like for you guys as a podcast, like I've props to the people that do this crazy town for a living.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work.
No, it's a lot
of work.
Yeah.
It's not just as simple as like a mic and a camera. I mean, it can be, but to this level, it's not. What for you guys, like, where did you start compared to where you are? Like, you didn't just fall into this. Like, was there a moment it was like bing and it worked, or you just kept going?
Kept on keeping on.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you're right. So for Shane and I, you know, Shane O'Brien, my partner here at Missing Curfew, we, you know, we both played professional hockey. We played with each other for a little bit. But we had lived here in Orange County and made this place home for roughly 10 years. We were both single. We both enjoy golfing, going out, going to concerts, traveling. So we went into this, you know, if you call it like an angle to this whole thing, like we were best buds. We both played this game of hockey, which is what the podcast was going to fall under. And then we were going to like offer kind of the lifestyle part of it, but more like the vision was to bring people into what they could expect the dressing room to be like, right? Like you're sitting there, you show up in the morning, you won a game last night, you're in talking about what happened last night, like did this guy take home a girl, like did this guy get shut down, like having a coffee, you're talking about the news, whatever. And like, so we were like, we have this. We don't have to like, this is ad lib, this is perfect. We have it. People know who we are, and you know, there was no secrets to how we lived our life at the time. Like people were like, hey, these guys are starting a podcast. These guys, we hear these guys were, you know, beauties, so to speak. So let's give it a go. So I remember our first show, you know, we asked a bunch of friends as a favor, like if they could retweet it or listen to it, or, you know, and right off the hop, we got, I think maybe 22,000 like downloads for our first episode. And that was a big test of like, okay, are people going to listen? You know, because
people don't give a shit. That's
like, and that to me, at the time, like, I had just retired. We thought about doing this show. It was during COVID when NHL said they were going to play a playoff play-in, and that was, they were bringing all these teams to Toronto and Edmonton, and it was in August, which is a unique time because you guys as basketball people know there's no playoffs in August. That's usually when training camp starts. And so, you know, Obi, who had been retired a couple years and had done a podcast and had a little radio show, he was like, Uppy, you know, now that you're retired, this is a perfect time for us to do this. You know, let's get one more guy. And at the time, you know, we got our boy Jimmy Hayes from Boston. He was going to be our East Coast guy that could bring in this like East Coast feel to it, but we'd all play together. Yeah. And, you know, it was going to be over Zoom at the time. And we did our first couple over Zoom, and it was like, it was very amateur hour. If you listened to them, they were bad. But Kevin Connolly, so you know, the full circle of the whole story was Connolly, he played E in Entourage. He owns his own podcast studio called Action Park Media up in LA. And COVID, as you guys know, like there was no cars on the street, so we would jump in a Sprinter van, which is parked out back. And we would
True story, it is parked out back.
Yeah, and that was the one. Actually, Al asked when I was in that Sprinter van last. That was probably it when we were going to these podcasts. So we would fucking pay a driver, whatever, and we'd start boozing, and we'd hit up we'd get there in an hour, and we'd show up, with a pretty good glow on. And we would just start talking, and we're in a studio, and it was our first crack at it. And we bring on a couple guests, and it was terrible. But Cons gave us the platform. Jimmy was working his balls off in Boston, with his notes and being on for, how big of a mess Obi and I were locally. And so we just did the show not knowing what was going to happen, and it had some legs, and we started to get better and better, and we just kind of let it live. But so missing curfew, you're probably like, where the fuck did that come from? Like that was Obi and I, like we golf, and he's like, so when you retire, we're gonna do this podcast, right? I'm like, I'd always be like, yeah, okay, we can do it.
Kick the can.
I'm like, well, how would we even do it? Like, he's like, we just fucking speak, man. We get on the microphone and we speak.
Everyone wants to hear us talking.
And I'm like, well, what are we gonna call it? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I got a name, and he's like, I'm like, missing curfew. He's like, holy fuck, where'd you just think of that? I'm like, yeah, I think I just kind of brewing in my head. Like, what do you think? He's like, oh, it's perfect. So then we asked Cons. He's like, it's a great name. And then we had our buddy help us with the logo and everything. And, I think for us, the big like question mark was like, holy shit, this is going to be like a show and a business, and how do we run it? And it was like, do we need to set up a fucking LLC, or, people going to pay us to do this? We didn't know, and we didn't get paid at all. Like, it was a big thing for a while that we're like, I don't even know if this is
Worth it.
Or like, we don't know anything.
Yeah.
And that went on for probably 4 or 5 months, and then I went fishing with Al, and he kept his boat on my boat dock. Big fisherman guy, Al Hall. And we're out there and
having a good time. They're having a good time.
Yeah, and a couple beers, and he's like, tell me about this podcast you guys are doing. And I'm like, yeah, it's this. And I think at the time I told him a story of smoking pot with Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes. And it was in Philadelphia after a concert. And I walked backstage, and they're all smoking weed, and I had one in my pocket. And when I meet him, I'm like, do you mind if I... And he's like, did you bring that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, cool, man. He's like, you play hockey? I'm like, yeah, I play for the Flyers. He's like, oh, this is badass. Like, I love hockey, this and that. So I'm telling Al this story, and he's like, yeah, so you're just going to tell these stories on your podcast too? Because it's going to be great if you and Obi, like, if this is what you guys share. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to be ourselves and talk. And he's like, well, why don't you come into the studio and see what I got over at the studio? And I'm like, you got a studio here? He's like, yeah, it's at my office. So, it was the next week, Shane and I came, we sat in this room, and we met Max, and we saw like more of a potential for us to be in our backyard in Orange County and do this. And all of a sudden, throwing ideas around with Al on the whiteboard, and we created the Fella Tour, and we, different buckets over here and here. And so, how Al starts to work, and next thing you know, we're fucking, how many episodes, Max? 230?
Over 220, yeah.
220. And
oh my God.
We're just amateur out here. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we might have outdone ourselves.
It didn't happen overnight.
No, but it's good. And it's, there's days where Max is struggling with trying to get his point across to us, and we're hard on Max. And, but you build a team, you build a brand, and you learn things, and just kind of go with the flow. And we're in year 4 now, I think. Year 4.
Wow.
It's kind of cool because so Megan and I had never met before we did the show. Literally, we filmed our first episode, having never met, which is hilarious.
See, that's your first little obstacle, right?
But you don't know. But now it's definitely like, for us, it's always, I always find that people are like, oh, you podcast, and it's just like, you just talk a bunch of bullshit. And it's like, okay, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But at the same time, I think that's the glue of a podcast or a show, is to be that vulnerable self, where it's not like scripted, and we're not reading the stuff, and we're not like reading a teleprompter. Like, it's real life. Like, we are in here having real conversations about who knows what rabbit hole we're going down today, but we're going. And I think that's one of the things that, I always like worry, because I'm like, oh my gosh, did we talk about anything of importance in that episode? But then I'm like, whatever, like, it is what it is. If one person thinks it's cool and it helps them, carry on. Carry on. Okay, I want to know more about you. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
So, okay, sidebar to this. You probably don't remember, but so I'm from North Carolina, and there used to be a team called the Asheville Smoke in North Carolina.
Okay. It's a cool name.
In Asheville.
Yeah, I hear Asheville's a good town. Is that a good town?
It's a weird town.
Okay.
It's a very, it has its challenges.
Okay.
It's very hipster, very hipster.
It's okay.
Well, I'm not very hipster, so it's not okay for me. For him,
We
it's
like,
good.
yeah, we
Yeah, I
like.
was like,
yeah.
yeah.
We're
I'll
like,
just be
yeah,
over here
we're
on my own island like I am every other day in the studio. Awesome. But so I grew up watching hockey through them. And so it's funny to me because we were just talking to another guest on the show about how like hockey might be the only sport that allows you to like, until somebody hits the ground, they're going to let you duke it out. Like they're going to let you just beat the shit out of each other until somebody hits the ground. That doesn't happen in the NBA. That does not happen in MLB that much. Like, so what is it? Is it true that there is like the Terminator? Like there is a fight guy. Like there is a guy that if your guy's getting banged up,
What's his name?
you send the Terminator out and he's just going to go pick the fight, start the fight, and he'll go in the box and take one for the team. Is that true? Or is it just like to take this right now?
Yeah, that's the thing.
It was more standard to have like two fighters on your team back like 15, 20 years ago and beyond that.
Yeah.
Mainly because the game was it was different. It was tough.
Yeah.
Guys were monsters. I mean, you know, I'm not very bad. I'm 6 feet tall. I was played at like 200 pounds. I would have been really small when I played. Now I would have been, now I'm considered like, I meet these kids and we interview these kids at the All-Star games and stuff. And you're like, Max is like, is this dude fucking an All-Star? I'm like, yeah. How old is he? I'm like, he's like 20, I don't know. He's 21, 22. And yeah, their upper bodies aren't, you know, when we first came in the league, like I was a smaller player in 2002 and my trainer was like, you need to bulk up. You need to like eat and like get in the gym, do like bench press and like, I'm like, okay. So next thing you know, your whole life is like, I just got to get bigger, bigger, bigger. Well, now these kids are focused on like skills and talent and more one-on-one things. And the NHL has come a long way in what the product looks like on the ice. Like these kids are really, really good. But, you know, you'll still see fighting because fighting is part of protecting these kids.
Right.
Like, so I don't want my best player who I'm spending, you know, $12 million a year on. That's
right.
probably,
Breaking his hand.
I don't want him, you know, dealing with a guy trying to take his head off. So I need to have in my lineup someone that's going to enforce that. That sort of mindset, I hope will never leave hockey because it's what makes it's what governs it. Yeah. You know, a referee's not going to govern a whole game. In fact, the more he tries to, the more the game will fall apart.
That makes sense though.
The more the refs, usually when the refs let things play, then the game and the gentlemen say, we'll sort this out. Like the tough guy's going to grab the other tough guy.
Right.
And, you know, you might see a skilled guy go after another skilled guy, but like you're not going to have a full melee. Is what we would say.
I mean, those are few and far between. But like, okay, so it is true. So what you're saying is
full true. Yeah.
100%.
Fighting, you got to fight. Like, and I would say every professional hockey player, you don't really become a pro until you get in your first tilt.
Okay.
Like it's a
tilt.
thing.
Tilt is a fight.
Let's do your first fight or like your most
tilt
fight.
So my first fight, I was 16 and I was playing with a bunch of grown men at the time.
Had you ever
like
fought before?
19, 20
like your friends or anything?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
like
you
real-on fight?
used to like fight in hockey. We would have we would do what we'd call like helmets and gloves. Sounds kind of funny, but it's exactly what it is. You put on helmets and gloves, and before, like, there'd be these staged fights before you would go out and practice. Like, you know, today it would be you two, you know, and tomorrow would be me and Shane, and like the next day would be,
them,
and then like you had to do them. So there was and this is on your team. Like this is what
Who was staging? Who picked the stage?
Just the guys in the room. Now this is when we were like,
they're on the boards and they're like, you're gonna fight.
This is when you're like 10.
You're gonna fight this one today.
Probably 10 years old to 14. Wow. You're staging these like set up boxing matches in your
10 years old. Like your son. Imagine him.
Yeah, he'd be like,
yeah, and then all of a sudden your son comes home and his lip is like bleeding, and you're like, wait a minute, you're not even allowed to hit yet in hockey. Who did this? You're like, well, I had to fight, you know, Tyler at practice or whatever. That's kind of what
they don't. They get kicked off.
No, but
you're the what?
I'm not going to say now, like if this goes on, it probably doesn't. But this is what we did back then. This is
in your experience. Yeah, in your experience.
If a kid didn't fight, you probably made fun of him a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I was small, I fought, I got beat up, and you're just like, he's kind of part of like what we thought was growing up at the time.
Okay, so but then so you have this, and then when's your like first professional fight? Do you go out on the ice and you're like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy, or you
need to get in there.
I might die today.
So I'm lucky. My
like
my life in hockey, or the way I played professional hockey, at times I might have put myself in a little bit of spots where like, okay, next time I play this guy, he's probably gonna
I'm gonna take my gloves off for him.
He's gonna try to grab me, but never did I like have like a set up professional fight, which is what a lot of those Terminator guys that you were saying, like they go to sleep the night before a game and they're watching videos on the other guy, knowing that, I'm going to Madison Square Garden in front of, 18,000 people and they expect me to fight. And they seen what happened last game to our player. Like, I got to go out and do this. So I was lucky. I mean, my fights were spontaneous, like the guy did something or something happened in the game that just led you to just dropping your gloves and grabbing the guy and you just fight. So anyway, one that stands out is in the playoffs I was living in Philadelphia. We played Pittsburgh in the conference final. It was, there's only 4 teams left. And it was game 2 in Pittsburgh. Crowd's going nuts. And this little fucking kid is like looking at me and he's like, we're going. I'm like, I go, what? Like, we battled, but I didn't think he'd ask me to fight. I go, what, fight right here? Yeah, okay. And then so like center ice, it was
game on, show's on.
Tough little fucker. He ends up, he's got a podcast, I guess now. He told the story about like the story's kind of funny. The coach at the time grabbed him, and I hated this coach. I fucking hated him. And he tells this kid, you're going to grab Upshall tonight. He won't fight you. Like he's a pussy. He won't fight you. So the kid was like, really? When? He's like, I'll tell you when. And so he taps the kid. He's like, do it now. So the kid goes out and asks me to fight, thinking I'm just going to be like, what?
You're like, no, not today.
And so he got back after and was like, what the fuck? I thought you did. He got on the bus after the game and it was a good fight. He probably got a little bit the better of me. It was a good long fight.
Who won?
He got me a couple times, but I fell to my knees. I got back up, threw a couple.
I told you, let them go on.
Yeah, especially in this moment, because this is like, there's a lot of people watching. Ref, the last thing he wants to do in this sort of situation is stop something that's going on that would prior to it like evolving. Like he needed to let a good fight happen.
Or it's just going to keep happening, right? Like if you don't let it
No, not in that case, but I had George Laraque, who was a big, he's probably the toughest guy in the league at the time playing for Pittsburgh. He came up to me because we've known each other a long time, but after the series, like he grabbed me and he's like, I just got to tell you, like that fight was one of the best things that happened all playoffs. Like they lost in the finals that year, but he's like, that center ice fight between two guys that don't really fight ever, that was like, he's like, for him, he's like, that was fucking awesome, so.
Were the fans like banging on the glass?
Oh, yeah.
Get it,
was great.
like this whole thing.
And everyone just lets you, like all your teammates, they just kind of let you just fight it out. Like no other teammates ever.
No, like if you're on the ice.
I think everyone just backs up, right?
Yeah, if us three are a line, if you guys are my line mates and you see me fight or start talking to the guy to fight, like you're just like, fucking, you're like, usually you're like, kick his ass, you're like,
get it.
Your emotions go too, and your adrenaline goes. But the guy who's fighting, you don't really remember everything because you just
black out. You
black out.
You drop the gloves, you black out, and then you just wake up in the penalty box.
So you guys bring me in here to talk about fighting? Or
yeah.
Do I look like a fighter?
No, you have all your teeth.
I know.
Yeah, that's why.
real?
They are all real. No, they are.
You never got any knocked out.
Never.
He's not a fighter.
I know, but I played like
He's
pretty.
You're not a fighter. That's
kamikaze. I was kamikaze. Like I was a little out of control, which is the full up dog comment earlier. But they all stayed in.
What?
Lots of times I like hit him on a helmet or a puck and pull my mouth guard out, thinking
that's like a common thing, though,
a few
right?
of those teeth are going to be in there, and they.
No, like teeth. This in hockey, it's like more how many. My brother said I should ask you how many real teeth you have, not how many are fake, and the number would probably be skewed. But like most hockey guys are missing like
lots of teeth,
a bunch of teeth. Why?
It takes one little incident that can happen like that, and their whole row's gone.
Oh. Like what? Like what? Like what is that? Like what's a little incident?
Like a
puck to the
a puck.
face?
So for example, a puck is picture like your iPhone weighing a pound, and it coming at you
and they're frozen
unexpectedly, right? And just hitting you, or a stick. Like our sticks are a little out of control sometimes. You go to lift up another guy's stick and he moves and you get him right in the eye. Like my partner, Shane, at Missing Curfew, I stuck him in Nashville on a Saturday night right before we went out after the game. I stuck him right between the eyes. He's got like an 8-stitch scar right on his.
Oh my God.
And I'm his buddy, but I was chasing him down and it was a little going full up dog and I zipped him.
So you knock your teeth out. Why don't you just get veneers? Because you're just going to knock them out again?
Yeah, so if you ask a dentist why they don't fix hockey players' teeth right away, they usually ask you how many more years you want to play.
Okay.
Because if the bones above your teeth that hold the posts, if you fucked that up, it softens and you'll never be able to put posts in there to really hold like teeth properly. So you'll end up wearing dentures basically, which is what we call it flippers. But a hockey guy he'll put his whole row in.
Look really nice in their.
But when you take it down, it's the flipper. It's like what your grandparents used to wear.
Yeah.
No,
Beauty. Yeah, I feel like
the beauty ones. They have them in like beauty school too, like the flipper for the little kids that have like jacked up teeth pageants. Like flippers.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm telling you, look at a media book, and the hockey guys all have like these beautiful teeth, and then you meet them in real life, and they're like every other's missing, and you're just like, wait, huh?
We asked the camera guy to edit them.
Yeah. See, they're like the reverse catfish. Like girls catfish you on the looks, and then you meet your hockey player, and you're like, how many teeth do you actually have?
So they are.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the NBA media day today? Did you see Butler, what he showed up as?
We were just talking about that. We actually were mad because we think they stole our set idea. Because they had the green wall with the Miami in the back.
Yeah.
But the level of detail he went into today.
Yeah, how do you get your hair looking like that? What do you
I think that's a wig, first of all.
No.
Yeah, that's a wig.
Yeah.
I think he straightened it.
Yeah, I think he just straightened it.
Yeah, he straightened it, right, Max?
I think he just straightened his hair.
Yeah, because at the U.S. Open, he had like his long.
That's even worse though, because that's so much time. Like at least a wig, you can be like, I didn't spend this much time looking like this. But he painted his fingernails.
Yeah.
Do you think the piercing's real? Do you think he went there with like the full-on piercing, or is that like a magnet?
What kind of summer did he have?
Not a chance.
Well, last year he had the dreads.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like for him, this is just his way to like mock media day.
Totally.
Of like, I'm just going to show up looking like a fool, and then all of this is going to go viral. And if you think about it, in his defense, he's getting more pub than
Taylor
right
Swift.
Now.
Yeah.
No, Taylor Swift's killing it. Like literally, the NFL will make sure Taylor Swift keeps. We just talked about her and Trav.
It's crazy.
NFL's all over it.
They're going to give her whatever box, whatever she wants from here to eternity.
Yeah.
The record she's breaking though too, like the games, like the network people are like breaking
it makes
records
me sick.
just because.
Why?
I don't know. Like
if she was your girlfriend, you wouldn't hate it.
I know they're just using it too much. Like
no, I agree.
They now want all the the Swifties to watch football.
Yeah,
they don't care about football. It's like it's kind of like
maybe they would. Maybe you convert them. You don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to convert them to watch and like.
But if they break,
what happens when they break up?
Then everyone's gonna boycott the NFL. Yeah. And then their ratings are gonna tank.
So a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Like what if Travis Kelce gets caught on camera like talking to some girl at the bar?
Oh, it's raps for him. No,
turns into just full melee, and now he's got people showing up to his house, like doing bad. Like he's probably got to move, right? Like now he's got people coming to Kansas City. She's gonna have to put up a fence around his house, like.
He has to like get a whole new look. Like he has to go undercover. Like he has to go underground for a minute, or the Swifties are.
Like I remember when, so Mike Fisher started dating Carrie Underwood, and now, now they're married or whatever. But I remember like what he went through. And I didn't play with him, but you just knew like through the league, like she starts coming to games, and it's like he's in Us Weeklies, and it's a full like she's a whole other level of Carrie Underwood. Like she moves the needle more than anyone on the planet, but
I think it's weird.
Does he know what he's getting into here? I don't know.
Well, I think it's hard because like I think NHL a little bit lives in a protected bubble, right?
The NHL?
Like, NHL. Like it does from like a celebrity status, right? Of like, it's not a ton of guys in campaigns. It's not a meaning it's not like it's not a very big like party scene, I guess. That's a public party scene, right? Like you look at like the NBA and they're all out
events
all
around
over
the
time,
league,
right? Yeah, and I feel like NHL is a little bit sheltered in that sense, so it's not that crazy. Because like even for being NBA, like there's plenty of guys that date girls that
Jenners,
yeah, and it's not that crazy. But I feel like when you take a sport that's a little bit less in the limelight and then turn it up, then it's like a tick tick boom. You're just waiting for it to like blah. And it's funny because I feel so Taylor just took Hugh Jackman. She took Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, who's my
love her.
I love her to death. If I wanted anyone to play me in a movie, it'd be her. So if I die, make sure she plays me.
I always wanted to play Ryan Reynolds. Well, if Ryan
then
Reynolds,
we're gonna be a match made in heaven.
I was like,
hello.
At a time when I was young and I had like blonde tips. Yeah.
But I need to see this picture, Mac.
Gotta look on his draft day picture.
I'm gonna need it.
No, that was like my back then. It was like I had a baby face, and it was like the Van Wilder days.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds. I used to get that celebrity look like.
I feel like she brought all of them though to help try and take the spotlight off of her a little bit. Like that's what I.
Well, it's New York too, right? It's like that was the ticket, and it will be the ticket wherever they go now with her, which is just crazy. But New York, New York is like.
Is Trav's contract up?
No.
I don't know, but he's on every.
But I'm saying
It's just wow.
It's wild.
I mean, he's a hell of a player. He's the best of
I think his brother hates his life now because it used to be him and his brother, and now
I mean, they got the best. Speaking of podcasts, you should be interviewing them because they're doing it right.
Yeah.
Shout out to them,
the Kelsey brothers.
Yeah, the Kelsey brothers. We would love to come on.
Yeah, and they don't have
Taylor's integration into sport.
They don't have guests. They just rip their stuff together, 40 minutes, boom, get it out.
See,
the guest part's the hardest part, but thanks for having me, by the way. But the guests it's hard to get guests.
It honestly,
I almost didn't want to come just because it's Monday, and I'm like, I don't have to show up till Tuesday.
Is that what happened with Obi? Where's
Obi?
Obi's flying back from a little trip, little meet the parents trip.
No.
Yeah.
We need to have a second
meet
phase
the
for
Fockers.
this.
Meet the
we
Fockers.
Meet the Fockers. We're gonna need to know when Meet the Fockers comes on here.
I know.
No, honestly, it's interesting for us because we're both not based here, so it's harder. So I have to fly in to do this, and then we try and we did it in summer league, which was good, but it's just especially for me NBA season's so long, it's nonstop for us now, and so trying to I've really had to force myself and even this team keep me accountable of nope, you signed up to do this, you're going to do this. Because, you got to start trimming fat. It's where are we trimming fat? Because I only got so much time in a day and I'm going to turn into a vampire at some point. So we all just need to keep moving. But I really do have to say this is important shit. And we love the podcast for Aaron and
Carissa Thompson.
They have that version of The Boys, but it's it's literally about nothing.
Yeah.
No, it's important. I'm not saying that. It's really important, everyone. They talk about important shit. But it's
they're
just
good.
Regular life shit.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I feel for us, that's why I was saying to her, we're supposed to do our meet us after this. I'm I honestly would just put on sweatpants and just sit here and just shoot the shit about what's going
that's all
on
they
in
do.
life. Because I mean, really that's what this all is.
Yeah, it's funny. So Erin is married to one of our good buddies, Jared Stoll.
Kelly.
And where she does her podcast is they live in the house that he built, and it's their house obviously, but she's in the basement. I know the couch she's on or the desk where it's at. And I'm like, this is great. They do it in sweatpants in their basements, and that's one way to completely crush a podcast. It's,
just whatever.
We've tried to separate ourselves in our space by being more of a show. Being more of a studio set kind of. Although we're not that professional, try to look professional. Because there's a lot of competition, and if you try to separate yourself in your
What's been the hardest thing for you with it? You said guests are hard.
Guests are hard.
Well, you found that out too. Just people's schedule when our schedule works. It's not. We got other shit.
You just feel like you're a pain in the ass asking people to come in.
Totally. And now we pushed it off to Casey. Casey gets to be the pain in the ass, so we can be the nice people when they actually come in and they're you've been begging me. I'm it's not us. It's we're just here. They make us come.
So you guys are really natural at interviewing. Maybe it's because of the field you're both in. I don't know.
We really just work at Starbucks. This is all a big shit.
Yeah, hi, what's your name? Oh, okay, and you spell it wrong no matter what. So I was always on this end. By this end, I mean speaking and answering questions, whatever, telling a story that was a part of my life or about the game. And then so when you come on the other side of the microphone, you're asking the questions and you're trying to create just normal conversation. I don't say, it doesn't come out natural, but it's different. And
it's hard.
There's often times where you're like, and when you're working with Obi, and Obi is incredible. He's actually one of the best in the business at like flowing through and just being direct with questions. And I often, if I listen to the podcast and my voice, I'm like, fuck, I just couldn't get the question out. I started rambling on about like something, and I'm like, just be direct. I have most of the questions written down. Like direct the conversation the way you want it. Like you're answering the questions.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of tuning that I've had to work on. But
which do you enjoy more, being on this side or this side?
I mean, it's way easier to answer. I think it's way easier to answer questions.
Yeah. I would think so too, because you're just
like I'm sitting here wanting to ask you guys questions, but I'm like, actually, your listeners know everything about you guys anyways.
You know what's funny? So we have filmed our Meet Us like 2 times, and we hate it.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I've ever watched. I don't watch our shows. I can't do it because I just I critique myself to a point where it's just unhealthy.
Yeah.
So I just let them do it in whatever they choose, because why do I sound like that? Why did I say that? Why did I look like that? Like, you just dig yourself in a hole. And so we've tried like 2 or 3 times to do it, and we just can't get it. So it's funny. So we've never even released this is me.
Yeah.
What is that rock? Like eventually, maybe in 2 years, they'll already know us and it'll be fine. But
just hold on to them.
It's one of those things for me. It's how much do you share? Like, this, you're a professional athlete. Like, what do you want to share? How much do you want to open your life up? Because once you open Pandora's box, the door does not close like that. And that's a scary thing. Like, you have young kids, so you're like, okay, how much is too much? How much is enough? Like,
for sure.
Where do we go with it? Because it just can get like unmanageably out of control.
Yeah, I know that. I told a story on our TikTok. I didn't even know we had TikTok at the time. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, this is you guys cut this clip, and it was me like, getting caught by my mom just smoking weed when I was a young kid, and like I tell the story, and like and then I'm watching it on TikTok. I'm like, oh, actually looks pretty good. And then I'm like, it's like millions of hits. Hey, Max, like the thing went like 10 million hits. And
that was our most popular TikTok.
I go, fuck.
10 million views.
And I'm like, you just, when you open it up and you want to be real, I mean, it actually gets more people to kind of be like, oh, these guys are cool.
Yeah, sure.
They're telling it how it is. There's no, anyway, in saying that, you walk the fine line. All of a sudden, for example, I got a text the other day from a kid who doesn't have a contract yet. And we, on the show, spoke about him. And he's like, yo, his text comes through, yo. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, man, like, I wish you guys like knew that I actually want to be on that team. And like, you guys made it sound. And I'm like, what did I say? Like, I fucking forgot. I usually say something.
What are we talking about?
I'm like, yeah, what did I say exactly? He's like, no, like, Obes, like, tell Obes, for example, like, I wanted to be, and I'm like, okay, like, don't worry about it. We just probably were ripping through something and trying to kill time. I don't know. No, but, people listen.
Yeah.
And then you got to kind of like, direct those words. And, when we ask Max to clip things, we're clipping them because we want to shape what our message is and what the show is about. Right. And they do a great job of it. It's part of Max's big contract that he's got.
And dealing with us is the other side.
Yeah.
Like, you got to deal with these 2 girls.
So there's a few things that you got to take.
What do you feel like is something you wish that you knew about? Like, I feel like nowadays everyone has a podcast, and here I am sitting on our set. So like, shame on us. But like, I feel like all these young kids are like, I'm going to have a podcast and I'm going to do all this. I feel like for me, if you don't have like a vision, or you don't have like, if you don't know what it's going to be about, you and your friends just ripping is dangerous, because it can go down a rabbit hole really fast and you can't walk back out of it.
Daddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
all of a sudden the rabbit hole gets you $80 million contract.
It does. Yeah. But then you're like, do I really want all this out there? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it's that. But for these young kids, are like, I'm going to get a mic and I'm going to get a camera and I'm just going to have a podcast and get my friends to come on and talk about crazy shit. Yeah. 10 years from now, when you're interviewing for a job and you're crazy shits on TikTok, you know, what do you do with it? It's different than when you were growing up in the league, right? Like, it's you didn't have all that.
No, there's being a retired professional athlete, like, there's so many question marks, and like, there's struggles to the whole thing, and then there's real life, and then there's like work, and did you make enough money to retire happily at 35? Probably not. Like not very many.
Yeah.
Some athletes, yes. The contracts you get your clients, I'm sure. But
we saw today, and I was like, "Who is that again?"
you know, you have this like little grace period where you kind of okay doing nothing, but then like that window goes like it shuts really fast where you're like, okay, you know, I got my wife or, you know, my girlfriend all over me to do something because she's sick of me at the house and my kids are driving me nuts. Like there's a lot of things that these guys go through, and I never really went through that. My process was actually super like natural. It felt like coming into this. And so anyway, when, you know, for an athlete, you have to choose, like, do you want to stay in the game or not? That's probably your first question. And if you do you want to be in management? Do you want to be an agent? Do you want to do media? Do you want to coach? Like, so there's these buckets that you can pick. Because once you do one, it's kind of hard to do another.
The other, right? Yeah.
So you need to strategize. And I wrote down this girl's name actually before. I didn't know what you're going to ask me today, but you know, there was some women that in business that kind of helped me throughout my career. And this one girl who I started to get to know when I retired, she has like a life coach business, business orientated, but also family. And like, you could call her like a, what do you, like your
like a
counselor?
little
Not a
Yoda.
counselor. But what, therapist, you could call her that, but like it was life coach. I was looking for therapist because she deals with a lot of fuck. She hears me out or hears her clients.
Yeah.
So her name's Megan Dolce, and she had this company called Ripe. Yeah. This girl became a big part of my life at the time, you know, and she was like once a week I get her for like 2 hours, and we'd Zoom. It was during COVID. We'd Zoom in, focus on like goal setting, and then like obstacles and questions, and then where we want to be, and all this. It was all this great stuff that, you know, when you played hockey, teams would have these sort of guys that would come in, and you would, you know, they would be free of charge, but you'd have hours with them if you wanted. Sports psychologist type guys.
Yeah.
And when you're playing, you're like in the moment, you're like, I don't need this fucking guy.
Yeah.
But then like come when you're your own entity and you're your own brand and you don't know what you want to do, it's like, you need these people around. Like they're super.
Well, you're so used to being told where to be, what to be, how to be, all that shit. And all of a sudden it's like, now what?
Yeah.
So there was this whole transition now. We got super in depth and like fine tuning to just like what I wanted to eat, how many hours I wanted to sleep, how much money I wanted to make, you know, per month, where I wanted to be with my kids, like private schools, this and that. So the full like vision of what life's going to be.
You went to like boot camp.
It was just good. Like I never did it before.
Yeah.
So, you know, so then, okay, so I choose a couple avenues for post-career work, let's say. I helped build this brand and start a podcast. I helped a friend and a couple partners build a family office where we got 15 clients now that we do business management stuff for, and we help them invest some of their money. And then through connections, I got hooked up with a guy that asked if I wanted to sell real estate for him, and I was like, I'd love to. You know, it can't be a full-time gig because I just had kids and I'm doing this, but I'll definitely be an ambassador and try to help you as best I can. And if I help, you know, move houses, and he pays me a little bit of money, and it's great. So now I have 3 fucking things, and I'm like, now,
John?
yeah. Then I'm like, how do I separate? Now time. Okay, new kid, whatever, COVID, girlfriend. You know, I have only a certain amount of time in a day. What do I want to do? How do I do this? So I was basically like, I'm gonna just accept all these challenges that I've never done, and I'll see which ones work for me. But for the hockey thing, like we chose media. And then we started small, and we started to build a team around this and figure it all out. But what this podcast gave us, and when you say just like starting a podcast for anyone, just start spitting fucking ideas around and saying shit they shouldn't, we became relevant, not forgotten. Like Shane O'Brien and Scottie Upshall now are we walk around an NHL rink and we're greeted as ex-athletes, but also as missing curfew guys. And, and we get, invites to all the events, All-Star games, Stanley Cup finals. We're on NHL Network once a week. So it's like, it's kind of badass.
Yeah.
Sorry, Max, I touched the microphone. No, it's so for us, our message is staying relevant and building the brand. And that was the goal to this, is to like not retire and be like guys that didn't play the game, but have our voice, still listen to, our opinions matter. And it's good.
What advice would you give us of just how to do like this podcast? I mean, I think it's Megan and I always talk about it. It's just to be yourself, and it's hard to not be yourself, when you feel good and you feel comfortable, but also just being mindful of like the responsibility that comes with it, right? But it's interesting to hear you talk about, I didn't play professional sports, did you?
No.
Yeah, we're both just, maybe there's hope for us. Maybe. But just trying to like, you have these young guys that like look up to you and listen to your podcast. And what does that feel like for you when you know that they're listening? And because you talked earlier about staying relevant and like staying in the game. What is that feeling like for you when one of these younger guys calls you and they heard your show and you're like, holy shit, they heard my show? And secondly, like what I say matters to them when, you're retired and they're in the league.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'll answer that part first. So it makes all the work you put into this, it makes it, it's a very fulfilling feeling when you're, when you and Obi go to a game, if you're in Edmonton, for example, and, you walk up and down the aisles and you got guys that are like, oh, Zup Dog, like here, you want a beer? We love your show. Or, you're just walking down a street and some guy has like a fella hat on and you're like, fuck it, that's our hat.
Yeah.
That's just cool to see like the growth and the mornings where you didn't want to get up and talk on the podcast, or, the as hungover as you could possibly be at the Scottsdale Waste Management Open, you get up and do a podcast. Those moments where you're like, holy shit. There's a lot of, and then, patience to this whole thing. Like, that's what I would say to you guys to answer the other part of your question is, just be patient with each other. 'Cause sometimes me and Obi, it's like fucking button heads, but our show is great, and our relationship is great, and you're doing business with a buddy, and you guys, you have a great relationship now. And just being creative with the whole thing, like, explore new ideas to the show, and like the ping pong or the beer pong or whatever, and just do it and see if it sticks. And I don't know, just you're doing a podcast. It's fun. It's kind of the new way of, a lot of TV shows now are getting out of, old programming and into this new, like, we want some fresh kind of new.
Yeah.
By the way, looking at this set, Max, I'm thinking in between two ferns, that.
Yeah. Zach,
do you guys, have you ever seen this? Zach Galifianakis show, but it's like the two, and he's just he's hilarious. He's so funny on it.
So good.
But like when I sat in, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be a comedy actor, if I'm on some sort of, like, this is going to be like a punked.
He's going to pop out from behind.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
No, so, yeah, it's great to see you guys doing this, and it's nice to have other shows as part of Hall Pass, studios. These guys are great, and they work hard. They have a good finished product. Hopefully they make you guys look as good as they make us look.
You're just here, You're actually the first guy that we've ever had on the
Really?
table.
Yeah.
First one. We've never had any, because it's all about women, but I feel like for us it's...
Well, I hope I didn't disappoint. I hope I was...
No, other than I just wish you to come with like a photo book of some pictures, because there are some archiving that I need to find.
Unfortunately, there's ones I can't take down that are on the World Wide Web.
Oh, those live forever?
Yeah, those are there.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. We're going to experience one together.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. The blonde tip.
Oh, see, yeah, that's a 19-year-old me thinking.
I love it.
Thinking that life in the NHL was never going to end, and I could just wear these blonde tips like it's no one's business.
I mean, you wore them well.
It was actually like to my...
I think you should go as yourself for Halloween,
like,
too.
Timberlake at the time was what? He was probably 24. He probably just left NSYNC.
What year
and
was
was
this?
doing his own thing. That's 2002.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like
Yeah,
the
like
band era.
totally. Well, just out of it.
Yeah, but and on the Biebs era, right?
Oh
Biebs
no, Biebs
Biebs was like
2012.
2010.
Yeah, something like
Well,
that.
he was coming.
10 years
No,
later.
no one knew of Biebs in
Leave
2002.
me alone.
Biebs, how old's Biebs?
He
Anyway?
was like 5 then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
Jesus
maybe.
Christ, he was 5.
Scooter Braun might have known about him. But
Usher did.
yeah, true.
Usher did. No. Well, has there been any women for you? Obviously, we're here to talk about women in sports real quick. I talked about one young lady that made like a really big impact in your post career. And I think it's so important, especially in like men's sports. There's a lot of women that work in male teams with, you know, really high jobs and ones that are not, but they make the world turn.
Yeah.
Was there anybody for you, you know, for these young guys coming into the league, not that they're listening to our show, but in case that they are, that you would say to like the younger you, what would you say as far as making sure you have the right people around you and being open to whatever gender of person that is that might give them guidance or counsel?
Well, the one cool thing that I've, you start to notice, and in hockey particular, and now in football, but the women, we have women therapists now. We have women, there's an assistant coach doing an incredible job for the Seattle Kraken's minor league team, Coachella Valley Firebirds, sorry. So hockey's been really open, and we spoke about this earlier, but new league that started up for women, and women's hockey's always been really competitive, so it's great to see that. In and around a hockey team is the back office part, right? Like the general manager and the sales teams and all this stuff. And there's over the course of my career, I don't know how many people you meet that basically put the show together, right?
Yeah.
Like the hockey show together. And that's a mix. There's women and there's men back there, but the women, like they were always hungry. They're always super excited to be around the team. They organized a lot of the events and did a great job with that. And I can't right now really think of like one that maybe left a lasting impression on me, but I know that it wouldn't work in just a male-dominated kind of sport.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, women make the world go round. Let's just.
But the creativity aspect of it, their hard work, their vision, it's nice to have both. Like in anything, entertainment. Hockey's an entertainment show, and you need to have open minds to doing something new. And hockey needs to catch up to the NBA that you guys are in, and NFL. Obviously, like there's still so many ways to grow our game. We talk about a lot on our podcast, but
are there women referees?
No.
There is in the minors, yeah, but not in the NHL yet. That's.
I'd love to see that.
But again, we go back to your question you asked about these Terminators on the ice. Like, if there's a fight on the ice between two guys that are 220 pounds and a girl is in charge of separating that, that's where like. You can't be a line judge. Like in the NFL, there's a lot of line judges.
Yeah.
But in hockey, like there's because we talked about it, but it would be tough. Guys are punching each other. Imagine, imagine you're out there and you just get smoked, and then that would be like a thing. I think that would all of a sudden it's like.
I think it's different, like in the NBA, right? Like they obviously have female referees.
Yeah,
but
of
like,
course.
well, every team has security personnel, and people have their own individual. Like, there's a layer of people that are breaking something up before it happens, and that's so different about hockey is they let it play out and then they break it up. They're not gonna like that. The pushing match isn't gonna stop it. It's gonna just
like these guys. Like so, the linesmen in the NHL, they are 6'4", like they're big dudes. Like but they naturally have to be to like kind of separate these scrums that happen in hockey all the time. Like all the time, a ref is like they like grab you and they just like toss you. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll stop.
Oh, that's enough for me. Got it.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Got it.
I'll go home. Okay.
No, but yeah, I think I'd love to see that change for you guys. I think it's probably gonna try and find a way to make that happen because I do think there is like obviously I'm not trying to break up a fight for sure.
Yeah, the referee part maybe like the referee, the linesman thing would be tough. The referees, you're gonna see it.
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting with the women's league to see if they have women referees.
Yeah.
Or
and then so they're
really interesting.
Women's hockey. So they wear full cage, which is a little different than us. And no, I've actually, you see like some of the international matches the women get, they're playing for a lot on the line, right? Like Olympic gold medals and stuff. And you see like they get scrappy and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never actually seen where it's like, okay, that they
duke it out.
That they duked it out. I don't like watching like UFC women fighting.
I can't do it. I don't like watching anything.
I actually, a guy getting knocked out to me is like, it still gives me like the heebie-jeebies watching someone get like knocked out cold.
Like getting bloody beat.
It's not cool.
No, I'm not with it.
But it's fucking crazy.
They have like whole parties and everything, and just like how.
I just feel bad for them. They have like UFC parties that like people watch people do it, and it's just like
big money.
Sorry, you're hurting him.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the UFC's it's entertainment, right? It's like,
well, that's what it is. Like all sport, I feel
it's like the Swifties, You got the Swifties and you got the UFCs.
I mean, Swifties. I'm telling you, Trav's got a lot on the line.
I know
Trav has a lot.
Don't fuck this up, Trav.
That's what everyone keeps saying is like, Trav, the world is in your hands.
Yeah.
If you mess this up, the NFL is coming.
I don't think he quite knew just
how big was
the
needle
either.
Just how sharp that needle is, yeah.
Well, and it's interesting that it can't happen that fast too.
Oh yeah.
Like it wasn't even like you were there when Carrie Underwood was dating your guy. So
it's wild how fast. Yeah.
Well, you can't do anything under the radar anymore.
Maybe there was a matchmaker to this whole thing,
The NFL.
Maybe.
State Farm.
Jake from State Farm. Jake from State Farm brought it all together.
He's up there.
Campbell's Soup brought it all together, and they're like, "We're gonna put you guys together."
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Get moving and go get my little kiddos.
Go get them. Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Of course, thanks, and good luck.
Thanks for sharing your set with us.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We want to go on a ride though, for real though. When this is done, we want to.
Sprinter Van's all yours.
You hear that, Max? This Sprinter Van's all ours.
Thanks, Max.
We'll return it the same way we found it. All right, Megan, that was amazing. I literally am still laughing having Scottie on.
It was so good.
It's funny to, I think he had spent enough time with us ladies. He left with all of his stuff still on the floor. Yep. He was a little bit disheveled. Like we had just given him a lot to think about in life coming off her table. So it was, I think, a good experience for him. I loved having him on.
He was so great. It was so fun just like hearing his perspective, being a professional athlete. He still has all of his teeth. That was wild because all the NHL players.
Notice they don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
so it was really cool that he had all of his teeth. Good for him.
He went into his career wanting to keep all of his teeth. Let's just be clear, everybody. Yes. He had the initiative that he wanted to keep all of his teeth.
Definitely.
It was really great for him to just kind of open up about what happens post-career for athletes when he retired, kind of that, what do I do? Mm-hmm. Where am I going? Who am I?
Right.
And he really had to do a lot of work. And there was a young lady that helped him, a life coach, that helped him really dive into where do you want to go? What did he want to do? How did he really want to move forward? And then how did he want to show up? I think is what I came out from. And they started their podcast. I mean, it is booming, banging.
Oh my God.
Missing Curfew.
Yeah.
It's really special to be able to share a set with them, but really to be able to experience their version of themselves compared to our set, our show. So I think we took him a little out of his element today.
I know.
So I'm waiting for the ask to come back and be in their element. I'm kind of scared for that. I'm not going to lie. I think that's coming.
It was great. It was awesome just like hearing like where they started with their podcast and how they've grown so much since then. They're on TNT, like they're traveling in a Sprinter van, like going to Toronto, like
Sprinter van
soon.
Now, a road show.
Oh, that's so cool. So I just think him like giving us tips, being patient, like working, it was just cool. It was cool getting insights from Scottie.
I think it's great. And I think too, hearing him talk about how the NHL still has a long way to go in his mind of just really making a space for women in the NHL, whether that's front office, back office, or even on the ice. I think hearing that from him, acknowledging they have work to do and wanting and encouraging that work to be done was really great, especially for us here at Her Table, which is we're all about women in sports and we're all about empowering women. I think for us to hear that from, firsthand, our first male guest, have him on the show.
He was incredible. No, he was awesome and definitely a good little episode with our first male guy.
I love it. Maybe we should have more guys on.
Yeah.
Maybe we should.
Maybe.
Well, if you guys think we should have more guys on, why don't you let us know? Drop a comment. Let us know. Nominate somebody who you think should be on Her Table. If you guys loved the episode, make sure you guys subscribe, like, share, drop us a comment. We love having you guys here. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. We love having you here. That's it for Her Table today. We're out. I'm Kate.
I'm Megan.
We'll see you guys soon.